Shah Rukh Khan will be coming to your house to teach your kid this problem in maths. This kind of that's the reason Byju's is down. Khatam. They're gone. No one cares about Byju's right now. Byju Ravindran is coming to, like I think there's a podcast with Smita Prakash where he's saying a lot of shit, but he's getting nothing. If you see the comment section, there also people are calling him a fraud. It is your job. It is your birthright, I would say, to fight with your management. Go and fight with your management or your boss. If you're the boss, do whatever it takes to get that shit done. We all know that LinkedIn is the new social network. Before people were very, like active in Facebook and Instagram. But right now you can see that there's an entire breed of people, the current workforce. Be the person, be from any domain, you'll be finding a lot of content which is there in LinkedIn. People are very interested to look good on LinkedIn, right? If you go under the table and if you like for consider you are bribing a person to like signing up your tool or your product. See, this is going to blow up later on, right? Because see, we are all career salesperson, or if you're a founder also, if your team is doing something like consider you only said that you made a video out of it, right?
Hmm.
There might be 10 more other YouTubers who are making videos out of Dolo 66, and the reputation of that brand is gone. Khatam. That is Khatam Tata goodbye.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Geeky Pod with Manas. In any industry, when it comes to product building, when it comes to earning money, the most important thing is sales. Until and unless you go for your product selling, you hire some sales representative who will help you in selling your product, or any organization who goes for sales, pre-sale and various other activities related to sales. It's very important in order to earn money, in order to grow in your organization. The one important aspect which matters the most is the sales. Now, in this episode, we had an extensive conversation related to various aspects, ranging from how to build a trust, how to be consistent when it comes to gathering leads, how to become consistent when it comes to cold calls, cold emails, or how to reach out to someone with your value proposition, and how to understand clients' emotion in order to improvise, or take the pulse of the moment and then pitch your sales pitch. So all this aspect we had discussion in this podcast. In this podcast, I have a friend of mine who is deep into the world of sales. In this discussion, we have Mr. Arnav Kumar Datta, who himself is taking over various sales activities when it comes to his current job, as well as freelancer aspect of it. So all this combined is our today's episode. I hope that you gather some knowledge about sales and various other sales activities that happens across the industry, not only in the tech world, any industry you take, how sales actually works. So this episode is all about that. I hope you like this podcast, and if you like this podcast, don't forget to hit the like, share and subscribe button, because that's what gives us boost, and it's free. You don't have to spend anything, just click it and you are there. Thank you. Enjoy the podcast. Tell me, right, in tech space, right, when we go for any sales pitch or any such sales related activity, how do you find the lead? What is the process to find any lead, and any specific strategy that you apply to find a lead and then go for representing your product?
So if you see any organization where they are selling a SaaS or a software as a service or a product as a service, first of all, the leads are all C-level execs or C-level executives who are the decision makers, right? So if you ask me personally, when it comes to lead generation, I use a lot of tools like Sales Navigator, Apollo.io. This is a tool which helps you to, like get contact details. There are also some tools like Easy Leads, for example. So these are all, like tools which are available in the market that helps a lot of tech sales AEs or account executives to get leads or contact details. But the major research is done, I would say personally, I look into business news. I use Google Alerts. And apart from that, I also look into the particular people who would be the right fit for the product. Like consider, let me give an example. If I work for Salesforce, okay, you know that Salesforce is a CRM company, right? So they create this software for all customer facing people. So if I have to pitch Salesforce to, like, consider there is a apparel company or a goods company, FMCG company, I would go directly to the VP of sales or the, like, head of sales or head of marketing, consider, right? I'll give them a call. I'll, like, set up a meeting with them and I'll give them a demo, and post that I'll try to close the deal. That's how it works in simple terms, that I would say.
Okay. And before, like, you took that example of Salesforce, right? So just continue with that example. Let us say now you go for pitching your product to, let's say, any FMCG or any apparel brand. Now, what kind of
Mhm.
research you have to do specifically for that brand? Anything that you want to understand before about the brand and then pitch your idea? How much important that is, and what goes behind the research?
Sure. So definitely research is very important. Like, if you consider this as a for Salesforce pitching also. So first of all, you have to understand what is the scope of the product in terms of being a product fit with the brand that I'm pitching to, right? Like, if consider the FMCG brand does not has any sales team, right? And they have an entire operation which is handled by e-commerce setup, or like they are a D2C setup, then Salesforce is not a good option for them, right? But if they have, like, retail stores or people who are onboarding some kind of warehouses, or some kind of dealership options, then SF comes into the picture. Because if I talk about Salesforce or any other CRM, uh, uh, like, if you see the target business also, they would need some specific things like, invoicing or payment system, right? They want to get their bills done also. So here, first of all, you have to check whether your product is fitting into the uh, company that you're targeting, first of all, right? So definitely, like, research is important. In my personal life also, like, when I was selling a lot of products, because I also work as a freelancer, I have encountered, when I was into the initial phases, I had pitched my particular product to a tech company where there was no fit. Right. So coming by my personal, like, understanding, it is always better to work smarter. Otherwise, you can, like, be a telecaller and you can dial 100 calls, and you can get meetings also. But this is no use. So you have to be very specific. You have to be very precise when you're targeting people, or the right accounts, or the right, ICPs, or the, if I explain, ICP means the correct person who you reach out to in terms of pitching a product, right? Like, consider if there is a banking or a payment gateway, you will not reach out to the CMO, right? If you're pitching this, you will reach out to the CTO or the CFO, because they are the right decision makers. They will know, like, how this is going. So even if you're pitching to a decision maker, usually what people do is that they mostly target managers. If I talk about Indian market or any other market, if you are pitching to a manager, he will be a guy who does not have a say in the organization. So if you are pitching a guy who is reporting directly to the CEO or the MD or the VP of a company, then it's very easy. Because if you are able to crack that setup, where you are also able to create a particular rapport with that person also, that is the key to closing any deal. That's what I have understood personally in the last 7 years. And when it comes to creating that rapport also, the research is not just on the company, it's also for the person. So we all know that LinkedIn is the new social network. Before, people were very, like, active in Facebook and Instagram, but right now you can see that there's an entire breed of people, the current workforce. Be the person, be from any domain, you'll be finding a lot of content which is there in LinkedIn. People are very interested to look good on LinkedIn, right? So if you are able to touch base that also of a person you're targeting, I think that's the very smarter way of doing business with anyone, right? So it's like quid pro quid. Basically, you give me something, I give you something. You have to do things that way to get things done.
Right. So let's come to this hypothesis. Let's say you have a product, tech product, right? So you were working with one organization. I'm not naming anything. You are
Hmm.
working with an organization. You have a product in that organization. Now you are pitching that product, tech product, to some uh,
Hmm.
B2B partner or some organization. Now they will definitely ask for some personalization and customization. With the
Correct.
given constraint of your product, how to incorporate those personalization and customization that the customer may ask with the given span of time, and how to say, like, I'll not go beyond this point. because customer is always God, right? So God is saying something and you cannot deny, but while being in your limit. So how to do that?
Sure. So, like, consider you have a brand, right? And you are pitching your services to one brand that will take this service from you, right? And that client is coming back to you saying that, please get it done. I want this done in 20 days or 10 days. You have to be very direct when you say things or you communicate things. So, when it comes to tech sales, when you are dealing with a client who was customization, it is very crucial that when you start the first point of contact, you make things very clear and concise. If you give them a false impression that yeah, I'm a guy who can get you things done, which is not even possible, then it will create problems in the future. Because believe me, if you are like getting a guy or a company to meet you to sign up a deal with you and say give an invoice, and if you're not able to give them a proper customer experience, believe me, Manas, your brand will go down in 7 months. Because here what happens is that once that guy, or like consider that C level guy, does not likes what you have delivered, he will definitely tell about this to his entire network. And like consider if you have pitched A brand, the word will spread to B brand, C brand, D brand, E brand, F brand, or Z brand, whatever brand is in the market, and you will be having a very bad reputation as a brand. So when it comes to negotiation, also you have to always keep a like higher ground when you are talking to someone. Like consider a scenario I had. So I was selling a LinkedIn automation tool like few months back where I was freelancing, and there was a company based in Bangalore. I will not name that person or that company. They wanted that entire product on a very less price. Like it was peanuts that they were asking, right?
Right.
And with that pricing, they also wanted some particular API integrations, which is not possible, right? So what I did not just say that yes, sir, please come and pay the bill and we'll give you the entire thing. I just kept him dragging. I didn't pay attention. I just like created this value proposition where made this person understand you can go to any other competitors which are there in the market. Go to them, take their trial, take their demo, and fail there. Right. Once you fail, you will be coming back to me. Right. Then I'll be having that upper ground or that upper position to charge whatever I want and however to make this deal happen. Right. So it all depends on how you project yourself. It's like mostly what happens is that in SaaS or if you're pitching softwares, uh, people get nervous when they see a C-level exec. They feel that if I am not able to get this guy on board, I am gonna lose my job or whatever shit is going to happen to me. But this is not the case. You have to keep your upper ground and you have to be very clear. And there should be no false pretext or false pretense given to your customers, because that is going to backfire on you on the longer run. So I believe first of all transparency, secondly impression. There is a saying, right? First impression is the last impression. If you keep your impression very good, this is very easy to crack. And of course, if there is a tech related problem, I do understand, Manas, because there will be situations where you have onboarded a client, right? I suppose that the deal has went very good and they have paid the money and
Right.
everything. The customer is asking the tech team, please give me this, right? So in those cases, you have to also coordinate with the tech team and make them understand that yeah, see guys, if you don't do this, we are going to lose a major chunk of the business that is going to pay your bills. So I believe when it comes to like handling situations like that, all the stakeholders of the company, like I'm talking about the brand, like the sales, then marketing, then tech, or like the dev team, they have to be on the common ground. And I do understand, as a like if there's a product manager, that's why people hire product managers in any company, to make sure all the teams are running efficiently, right?
Right.
So if you don't have a good PM, then this problem is going to happen. And I know that this is a problem in every other company which is there in India. So like in those cases, of course, it's the entire you know contribution of the sales rep as well as the tech team. You have to be flexible, because see, if you are able to showcase a good project to your company, you can basically grow in your organization much faster, right? Like consider if there is a sales rep, he is like hitting deals which is like, consider like around 30 to 40 lakhs, or even 50 to 60 lakhs, which is the entire turnover which is coming from a particular brand that he is closing. And consider that he is doing this by using a traditional approach, there is a very low chance that he'll be growing as a AD of sales, or like VP of sales in 5 years, right? Same for any software developer. Consider like if you have a team and they're getting repeated requests from the sales team that, yeah, this client is wanting this. Is it possible humanly to do that? Of course, there will be some situations where you can
Right.
definitely say that we don't have the tech to do that. But if you have, you can definitely slog your extra hours. Of course, there is a thing of work life balance, but again, there is a thing of thing called growth also. If you are able to showcase your work in your portfolio, like in a way where you can showcase that, I have done something which was out of my box. I didn't know this, but I learned this technology and I got this thing done. Believe me, this is going to help you in a longer run. So I believe that this all depends on teamwork and how you like talk to your peers in the organization. It's not rocket science for me personally.
Right. So now taking the same context, right? Sometimes what happens in various organizations where I've worked or I've dealt with, I've seen there is a slight gap between the sales rep and the tech team. Meaning, sales goes to the client and says like we have rainbow, but actually we have only three colors. So
Yeah.
the pressure builds up on the tech team where they have to deliver the remaining four colors also in a given period of time. time. So the total rainbow comes in together. So how
Definitely.
to deal with that situation? Because I know there are targets set on the sales reps also
Mhm.
where they have to get
Correct.
some clients in a given period of time. But having said that, how how difficult or how easily manageable that situation is where you don't promise something false and later
Mhm.
put the pressure on the underlying tech team.
So I have only one way of saying this. Don't make any false promises. Make much more prospects. See, consider like if you are prospecting. See that because when it comes to business, if you'll be getting a project only if the sales rep or the sales team is giving a business or that project. Correct? Yeah. So when you do that, you have to make sure that when you are building that pipeline, you don't depend on only one client. So let's consider that you have a target of around like 7 lakhs or 30 lakhs for a quarter or for a month also. You will not be going to one client, right? You will be building a pipeline of at least 30 to 40 clients minimum, right? You
Right.
have given 30 to 40 demos in 2 or 3 months, or if you take a monthly basis, you should at least give around like 15 to 16 demos where you have met the client, you have sent the particular proposal, you have negotiated, and after that, like it is on the negotiation phase where you're just waiting for a yes or no. There only the funnel increases. So see, that is the top of the funnel, right? There's of course there's a bottom of the funnel and top of the funnel. So when you look into the top of the funnel, you have to make sure that the prospects you're having, they're all qualified deals. Qualified I'm talking about in terms of the right time, the right space, the right tech they're having, as well as like the right kind of budget they might be having for sponsoring a product like that, right? So if you are able to build a robust pipeline where you have multiple options, like consider Manas, you work in a banking organization. I'm taking it on a very
Right. Right.
hypothetical
Right. Generic
scenario. You
level.
are
Yeah.
the
Okay.
right. I know that you do deal with tech, but let's consider you are a person who is taking care of sales, and you have a target of around like 3 crores.
Hmm.
You have to get a deal. That's the like thing that your CEO has told you to do that. Anyhow, do you think you just answer me? Will you just depend on one company for that, or one brand, or any one particular prospect for that?
No, I'll try to have multiple leads, but where one of the customer is a like high value proposition customer, I'll try to sell my product to that customer by hook or by crook. So while doing that, sometimes I have seen, see, I'm not in sales, but sometimes I have seen
Yeah,
that there is a gap between
understood.
what
Understood.
we say. Yeah.
Huh.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
how
So
easy that
so see, like as I said earlier, you can always avoid that if you keep the communication perfect. See, I'll tell you why. Even if like you might encounter that there is a client who is coming back to you and telling you, "Hey, Manas, I need this tech. if you can get this done, I will sign the deal in 3 days or 4 days or 5 days. I'll give you this money. This will happen. This will happen. You have to be very firm in saying no. You have to say no, no, sir. This is not going to happen. So sorry, we cannot do that. Because once you do that, you might lose that deal, but you will have the trust of the person. Because when
Right.
it comes to B2B, it's not that you have to sell by hook and crook. Because it's the relationship that you are building with the customer, right?
Mhm.
Like consider if you are like a banking software and like XYZ, like Razorpay or anything like that. Because I am talking about Razorpay because I know some peers of mine who are working there, and I do know for a fact that it's a hire and fire culture there, right? That's one payment gateway company.
Right.
Definitely, definitely, sales pressure is there, but it does not mean that you are pitching to a brand like, for example, Nestle.
Mm.
Like consider it's a brand like Nestle, or let's consider it's a brand like uh,
Big brand like
Amul, or
HDFC, let's say. Yeah.
yeah, HDFC Bank or anything like that.
Yeah.
If you just mess it up, just imagine messing it up. Those guys will never come back to you because this is not the only time you'll be doing business with them, right? Because
Mhm.
as time comes, like after 6 months, you can always get back to them, right? Like because when it comes to big organizations or big brand, they will be needing a lot of tech when it comes to any solution you're selling. So it's always about like following up on the right time. But why a person will give you business if you don't show up for the last 5 months? So I'll give you my like personal evidence. Like I had a guy like I knew this guy, who is a CTO of a company. He's based in Dehradun. Very chill guy, like he does not, he uses a lot of cuss words also. So I gave a demo to that guy and like he was telling me that, no, this is the most shittiest product that I've ever seen. Right. I gave him the trial. There also he was not satisfied, not at all satisfied. He was like, "This is very bad, very bad, very bad. Well, how the hell did you guys make this up?" He was having those kind of like words for the tool. But see, that time I could have said that like if you tell me the one requirement you're asking me, I can get it done in 2 weeks. I could have said that, but I know that if I did that, I could have, destroyed the entire prospect itself. I said, no, I cannot do that. That guy came back to me after 6 months and he said, Arnab, can I sign up? Because I've explored all the other tools in the market, all the other products in the market. I don't think no one gives on the same pricing as you guys do. So,
Right.
coming from my personal experience, it is much better to say that growth. Don't be, like a bluff master or like Abhishek Bachchan in Bluff Master. You have seen the movie, right? What he has
Yes.
done. He has bluffed a lot of people, and on the climax of the movie, he's running from everyone
Right.
because he's owing them a lot of money. As a sales rep, you don't want to do that because if you do that, because that is going to first of all destroy your credibility in the market. Secondly, once you move out of the organization, it is much difficult to get hired also if you do things
True.
like that. So I think if you have a sales rep who is doing all this thing, just tell him don't do this thing. And of course, this only happens when there is no strict, or I could say that no kind of proper communication between the tech team and the sales team. So it is also the responsibility of the management or whoever is sitting, or the product manager, to just come to an offsite, bring all the guys, have some beer, chill together, tell them,
Right.
the tech team can talk to the sales team and tell them, hi, this is, this is not happening. The way you guys are pitching, it's not working, this is giving us pressure. Please get us deals which is, like, which is workable. So that way, what happens is that, you will be able to get things done because I know that when I was freelancing for that particular brand, I remember I had a client who specifically asked, we were saying that like the tech was basically based on ROI, Ruby on Rails,
Mm. Mm.
Ruby on Rails, you know
Oh
that,
yeah.
right? So
Yes.
he was asking for an API for like particular telecom dialer. It does not happen, So like this went on for days, and there was one guy in the deck team. He was like constantly like disagreeing with me. I was trying to push that to those guys. Can you get this done? But later on, I realized that if I keep on doing that, this deal is anyway not going to happen. I'm going to waste that person's time, first of all, because when you see a tech team, I know that because I've worked in a very small organization as a freelancer, uh, that When we come to the back end part of the business or the front end part of the business, that's a lot of pressure. You are not doing only one project. You have to consider the other guy also, right? Because there is a perception amongst the sales reps or anyone who is doing sales that people who are working in IT, they don't have any work. They just do a coding and they
Hmm.
just go to school. This is not the only thing that they're doing. They're making a product. So it is very important to understand the other perspective also. It's very easy to blame, like put everything on the other person, on the other team. Yeah, if you can tell like our team is very bad. See, this is not going to give you any business. First of all, it is going to destroy your brand's capability on the longer and to bring more business. So
Correct.
as a sales rep, I feel that of course, when it comes to getting or avoiding things like that to happen, communication is the much better option. Better you
Understood.
communicate to the clients as well as the team, you avoid all this shit which is happening.
Right. So now, in terms of sales, let us take a step back. I want to understand from you. Let's say I start one company, right? Say I have a startup.
Correct.
Now I know the product since I am building it along with some of my colleagues. I'm building it. Let's say now I want to do sales for the product because I have to pitch the sale. Finally, sales is the target. But since I know the product, I belong from a tech background. When I go for sales, always I use the tech jargons, which is thought
Correct.
suitable for the pitch because I may be pitching to some non-tech guy who is the
Mm-hmm.
CFO or CTO of that company. In such a case,
Mm-hmm.
how much important it is to have a salesperson or
Mm-hmm.
for startups to start with, is it okay if they go on putting their sales themselves, or there is a need for a salesperson to be there because in order to understand the product and then finally vibe of the other client and then do the pitch? How much important a salesperson is in that
Sure,
aspect?
sure, sure. See, Manas, in this regard, I will give you a mixed answer because there is no definite answer for that. Because I have seen a lot of founders who have built that product, but they are really good in selling that also. They have
Hmm.
that soft skills when they're speaking to someone, they're going to events and they're pitching it. But there are also some founders who only know how to code. They don't have that much of idea. They're not that much social, and it's okay. Like you cannot like expect that you like consider if you are going to take your example. You build a product. You cannot if you think that you are not the extroverted or you don't like speaking to people. You'll not like doing that, right? It's not
Right.
like not everyone is going to be Steve Jobs or Bill Gates. That's a
Hmm.
very if people think like that, I would feel that you don't have to give yourself that much pressure. Don't take this headache. If you don't know how to speak, let the salesperson do it. Of
Hmm.
course, like I would say that as a founder, you should at least go and try to sell your product once or twice, because if you do that as a founder or a person who is a co-founder of a company which is into tech, you will understand the like vibes of the customer. You'll understand what the customers are wanting from you, right? Like consider if you have created a tech based solution and you are going to meet another founder who might be your proper ICP, and you're pitching them blah 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 blah. You're pitching everything. You did not even ask them what is their even requirement, right? You're not going to crack that deal. So the first rule of sales is not speaking. You might have seen Wolf of Wall Street. People have this particular idea. You would go in a suit and you like smoke a cigarette and you speak in style like Amitabh Bachchan will be able to crack a deal. It's not the way you do that. You have to first listen. You have to understand like what is the particular pain point of the customer. Like consider if anyone is saying that, let's consider you have created a CRM or you have created a fintech company, something which is into payments,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And you're going to a particular e-commerce brand, right? If you just go and pitch them, like my product does that. What will happen? I'll tell you. They will ask you, please share me an email, give me a demo, and I will get back to you. That's how it will go. And it's 90%. In all these cases, you'll not be able to crack anything. It will go cold. But if you just go there, speak to that person, build a rapport. You just don't pitch at all. Anything. Be a friend. Try to speak like a friend, right? You speak to the other your clients like a friend. You understand.
Right.
Like hi, Mr. X. I could understand that you are running a business like that. But can you tell me like how is it going and what are the challenges you are facing? I just wanted to have a chat over coffee. Like as a
Hmm.
founder, I just wanted to speak to you. If you speak like that, as a founder, the other person will trust you. He'll think,
Hmm.
yeah, this is a guy, same guy like me, is also struggling like me. You can use all these things to build a personal rapport. Once you build that personal rapport, you'll be able to understand the intricacies of his business, where he's lagging, and then you pitch the particular use case in your particular product. You don't pitch the entire product. That guy might of this e-commerce brand that you're pitching, he might be needing a solution which helps him to get cross-border payments. You might have cross-border payments as a
Right.
very small feature, but you can work on that, and you can only sell him that, sell that particular feature, and then you upsell every other thing that you have. That's how you create business
Go for
opportunities.
it.
It's not
Right.
that you just call 100 people. It's not telecalling, or like which was happening in 1960s or 70s. The typical sales rep behavior, where they will pick up a telephone book and call everyone, "Hi sir," or if you might have seen that, like some credit card people might call you up, "Hi
Yes.
Manas, hi sir, do you need any credit card, sir? We are selling this credit card, sir. We have 5% interest, sir. What do you do?
Right. This is like a cold call. I cut the call. I say don't need
You cut
right
the
now.
call.
Right.
But consider, if anyone calls you up and he says that, "Hi Manas, this is Arnab from SBI. I just saw that you are having a very good civil score. Congrats on that. And we would like to offer you, like another credit card. But see, you can consider this as a cold call. I'll not call you again. I'm just sending you a link. Just let us know if you'd be interested." And I just cut the call.
Right.
You will do you think you'll not like you will go to that link or not if I say share your mail like that?
Yeah. So that will be different from the chaos that we have. It's
Correct.
like a trust building
Yeah,
activity.
yeah. Yeah, most of the time when it comes to sales, like if it is a first timer or even if it's a veteran also in the industry, they do the same mistake. They pitch it like they had been doing for the last 5-10 years. Right now, when it comes to SaaS, things are very different because, as you know, that AI is coming into the picture. There are a lot of AI tools which do the same job as sales rep is doing. If you don't know, there are some particular companies which are giving you automated voice robots.
Hmm.
So, like, consider if I am, like recording my voice, you can set up an entire process where, like, AI will be doing cold calls and booking meetings. So, what is the need of a human being if AI is going to sell everything? Because when it comes to AI, they might have the best pitch, they might have the best knowledge in terms of product. They will never have the human touch, right?
Right.
So, the first rule of sales is you listen and you behave like a human being. You don't
Hmm.
just don't talk like a robot. And destroy your entire pipeline like that. That's how it
Right.
goes.
For any sales opportunity, you have to do so many cold calls. Right. We are discussing about cold calls, right? So, but in tech world, is there a need for cold calls? But if you start fresh, right, either you gather some leads or you try to find a new lead. In order to do that, sometime you may have to go for cold calls, cold emails. So, how much important that is, and what is the way that you should proceed in such a case?
Of course, that's a very wonderful question. So when when it comes to doing business, if you like, there are certain ways of doing outreach, right? So personally, what I've seen that if you just send an cold email, the response rates are very less. It's impossible to like do consistent like pipeline building by that way. If you do a cold call, that is much more effective. Of course, there is a way of doing cold calling, right? If you just call a person and you just pitch them a product, this is not going to work anyway. So there is a thing that I had come recently. That this is called basho emails. Basho emails is basically where you find a particular hook or a personalized email. You create a personalized email on basis of someone's anniversary, work anniversary, job anniversary, or any. Consider if you are outreaching a CXO or an MD or any manager. Consider a CDO, and you see that he is posting in LinkedIn a lot of stuff about his company or his personal achievements, right? If you share an email, you congratulating that guy, like, "Hey, congrats for doing this. This tech is wonderful." You know, that first of all sets up the context. After you send that email, you give that person a call. In this call, you don't pitch the product. You just say, "Hi, Manners. This is Arnav. First of all, congrats for getting this thing done. Really insightful. I liked your LinkedIn post. I was going through the post. I saw that this tech is going to do wonders, and then you find out your product. Okay, that you are pitching. You find that personal link, right? Then let's consider that fintech example where you are selling a. Consider you are a founder and you are pitching some guy who is a founder of an you know e-commerce brand, and you just say that like, it's great that you launched this particular product in e-commerce portals, and also you are doing business by like your social networks or things like that. Once you do that, you ask them a probing question. So, Mr. X, while doing this, I just wanted to know, like, do you face challenges while doing cross-border payments? What are the solutions you're having? That way, you build a conversation, right? You ask the person a question first of all on the very first call after you introduce yourself and tell them congrats or exchange all the pleasantries. You understand yeah, in most cases some guy will tell you, hey Manas, I'm very busy, please don't call me again. This is very like very very normal. You'll be finding if you're doing 100 calls, you'll be finding if you're having 70 or 30 connects or 40 or 50 connects also, in 70% of the cases those guys will not be, first of all, available to talk to you. Secondly, they don't have the personal bandwidth. You never know, the person you're calling, he might be like having a very good jhagra with his wife at his house,
Right.
right? You might, his child might have failed in maths or whatever he's going through, and you just give him a call and you said, hi, I'm there, and he might bash the call only, right? So,
Right.
so it is very important to like be empathetic also. If anyone says that yeah, I'm not really on the right stage to talk to you, just cut the call. Don't mess him up, right? So it is very important to be persistent when you're calling. You have to have that data ready with you. You cannot just depend on 10 or 15 guys. You have to call around like minimum 30 to 40, the minimum number you have to dial. Not dial, I will say connects. If you're wanting to build a very robust pipeline, once you get the, like connect on the call, phone call, you just tell that guy how wonderful he is, all that stuff, blah, 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 and then you ask the probing questions. And if you're lucky, then also he'll be answering your questions, and then you pitch the product. Then you don't just pitch everything. You just say, can we, have a demo? Can we come over for a product discovery call where we can showcase you how but this particular use case can be beneficial for your product. You set up the time, you go for the demo, you are very prepared on the demo, right? You do research about the brand, and you only show the use cases which might be beneficial. You just don't show everything, because when it comes to tech, we have a very bad tendency of like boasting about the product. Yeah, this can do this, we can do that, but this is not relevant for that guy, right? He might be a early stage startup. He might need only one use case, right? So in those cases, you have to be very like persistent, of course, and you have to be very careful also when you're pitching. So again, it's like when it comes to sales, every day is very different. One day you lose, one day you win much more than you can even imagine. One day you don't do anything, right? So here, first of all, what I believe is that when you're doing cold calling, you should have patience, and that patience builds if you practice, and this practice happens if you have that mindset of winning. If you have this mindset, yeah, I find that there's like even after 50 calls, no one is responding. I'm getting low. Your voice becomes so low.
Ah,
And when you go to the prospective client who might be interested, you speak like, hi, I'm calling from here. Would you be interested? And he says, no, I'm very busy. So this way, what happens that you lose a very good client. But if you have that mindset, okay, fine, I did 20 calls. This guy is not, like taking my calls. I'll pick up my phone. I'll dial a different number. I'll use a different number or a different tool again. So it's again, like the win, you have the perform or perish mindset you have to set up inside yourself. Then
right.
only you will be able to use all the tools, all the technologies in the industry, and you can make a cold call. Of course, post the cold call, definitely there's another approach also. If you are using LinkedIn, So if you are using LinkedIn, there are a lot of places where you can touch on. Like you can like that person's post, you can comment on that person's post, you can DM also. Before I was selling a LinkedIn solution, like LinkedIn automation tool. So like I used to face a lot of rejections while I was cold calling because there are people like we already use Apollo. I would like to consider this is a tool for doing email outreaching and cold calling. Basically, why should I use LinkedIn? So I just used to say, you fine, it's okay if you don't use it, but the data shows that this is the response rate of LinkedIn is 20 to 30% higher than an email outreach. So I was using data. So when you talk to any person, when you're pitching, apart from the pleasantries, you should also use data because what you say strikes. If you are like consider if you like you are watching news, there are a lot of news channels, right? So do you think people watch Republic TV as a source of information or they go to YouTube these days? If I'm talking about Indian media on the context,
YouTube.
why people go for YouTube? Because the news are fact checked.
Trust.
Trust issue, right? So if you have to also consider the fact that if you're talking to a guy, you cannot just like blabber anything. You have to talk about data points as well. So it's a very slow process. You have to be very patient. You cannot expect that on the first call only you'll be able to build an impression. Sometimes that also happens that you have a very good cold call. You have booked the demo, you went for the meeting, but there is another hidden decision maker who says no, and your day is gone, khatam, tata, goodbye. This has happened. So it is very important to be very persistent as well as very calm. Of course, this is very important. I believe when it's come to cold calling.
Right. So actually, first and I've experienced cold calling and cold email because in order to reach people in the tech industry over LinkedIn for podcast to appear in my podcast, only I've sent many mails, many messages, but most of the times I get rejection saying like, no, no, I'm not willing to go on. So now my next question is how to handle the rejection when you get so many rejections. Maybe the rejection rate can be high at some point, and at one point you'll crack the deal. But how to handle
Mhm.
the day-to-day rejection, which may be demotivating for a sales rep?
Sure. See, this is the part and parcel of the job. Like as you said that you are outreaching to a lot of people in the tech industry, and you'll be finding a lot of rejections. Also, what you can do, I can suggest you, like you can like all the viewers can consider this as the same approach when you're selling a tech product. First of all, you ask a question to the person, like, see, instead of saying that we will be doing a podcast, you can say that like you can be very like you have like there's a thing called improvisation, right? We use that in music, art, or anything like that. So sales is also art. It's not like a regular playbook is there. You just follow that script and you just call. It does not happen. That's the human side of sales, right? So if you are facing people who are saying on the email, I am not interested, you can say that, hey, I can understand you might not be interested, but I am not like those regular podcasters who will be asking you about Indian mythology on this call. I'll be asking you very relevant questions which might help you to crack a deal, right? Or might help you to get a partnership with a brand. I have a brand. I have partnership with a brand. You have to share your value propositions, right? You can say that I have a very good, follower base. I have this kind of brands which are working with me. If you do this collaboration, I can give you those followers. And I could see that your tech is basically dealing in the XYZ industry. I have some people who might be interested. You have to speak that way, Manas, right? That way, that guy will be interested. Then you'll be having a phone call with that guy, right? You'll be explaining, yeah, this is on this call, what will happen? We'll be talking about this tech, this AI based prompt, whatever it is. We'll be talking a lot about how this can affect the future business processes which is coming here, right? So you have to use jargons a lot. You have to talk tech definitely. So even if we remove your example, dealing with rejections is something where I'll tell you my particular personal way of doing that. When I get too many rejections, I don't think about sales. I just go for a walk. I work out a lot that day, or I do something productive. I listen to music or whatever I do, and I get back. I take a 15 or 20 minutes break, and I get back and I do it again. So the only way of coming out of that deadlock is doing your job properly, which is by repetition. So I'll give an example of gym, right? If you
Mm.
work out, if you do any, like for example, bicep exercise or tricep exercise, if you are a beginner, you will be having a lot of injuries if you don't do the form correctly, right? If you do a push-up also, if you don't do the push-ups properly, you'll be having a shoulder pain, or like your arms will pain, you will drop, or sometime you'll be not able to push yourself up. But if you practice every day, like for 20 or 30 minutes, you're doing this every day, there'll be a day where you'll be doing, like 3 sets with 10 reps. And that day you'll realize, yeah, I can do that. This is so easy because this has happened due to practice. So you have to take this with a pinch of salt that, yeah, people will be saying no to you. But again, if you want to reach out to the right prospect, you have to get like a million no's, because you're not expected to sell to 100 clients. You have to only sell to one particular guy who is going to give you millions of business, right? In one particular
Right.
deal. That's how things work. That's how the funnel is like. That's why we call this thing as sales funnel. Why do you think we call this a sales funnel? If you have seen a funnel, what is a funnel? When you make chai, you use a funnel. There's a
Right.
chani, right? we
Right.
we 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 put all the, like black tea or the red tea in the chani, and after that you get all the tea which is coming into the cup.
Correct.
The sales funnel is also like that. If you consider the rough tea which is there, once you boil it, so that is the outreach leads, the leads that you have
Mm.
called, and they have given you a
Mm.
yes. Yeah, we can speak more about it. But once you deep dive, you see the requirements. So the tea which is dropping in the cup, this is the kind of set of leads which are going into the negotiation phase, where you are
Mm.
talking about the intricacies, or the, in your case, you can consider that this is the case, but they are going to give you a time, or they are going to give you a particular branding exercise or anything like that, right? So
Right.
that's why we call it a funnel. So this is science. It's nothing. There is no rocket science also, but again, you have to be very persistent, and you have to take things very simply. It's not that you have to be very depressed about, I'm not getting anything. That attitude doesn't work. To be very honest.
Right. So far from our discussion, right? So I have noted down 6 points. So first is trust building is very important in sales. When you speak with someone, trust
Correct.
building is very important. Then understanding emotion of the client is also very important. Accordingly, you have to
Definitely.
improvise, change your pitch accordingly. And also, I have mentioned that consistency. I have noted down, meaning we are discussing about cold calls. After many rejections, you have to be consistent enough so that every call that you do with that same confidence that you did the other 99 calls. Right. And also, I've mentioned the value proposition that you also suggested, right? So, any sales pitch you do, you should explain the value proposition that you bring along with this call at all. Then, persistence is very important. These are the points I've noted down, right? So, now coming to another aspect, another aspect of sales, right? So, where you first, let's say we get the client, we do the deal, now we are ready. Does the sales end there, or there is another subsets of some other aspects of this sale as well?
Sure, sure. See, when you're selling tech, I'm talking on the perspective of tech as well as B2C also, because we know a company called Byju's,
Hmm.
right? That's a major use case where people have sold a lot of products and they have not delivered. That's why they
Right,
fell down, right?
right.
So when it comes to sales, when it comes to tech sales in terms of B2B, there's a team called customer success.
Hmm.
Okay. So what usually people think of customer success is a team which does nothing. They just come on calls and they just handle the, like escalations. It's not nothing like that. So once you particularly onboard a particular client, your job as a sales rep is also to help in the onboarding process. So personally, I've seen that if you are giving them a very good onboarding experience as a seller to your clients, they first of all will remember this and they'll give you referrals also. Right. So
Hmm.
it is very important if you're selling any tech, because the founder you're selling to, or the CTO or the CXO or the CFO you're selling to, he'll be knowing 10 other CFOs also from different
Hmm.
companies. Right. We know a thing called customer satisfaction score, CSAT score, or NPS score. NPS score or CSAT score is always better on those companies where there is a proper response from the company to the escalations which are there. It's not just escalation handling, it's also about, like giving them that particular service. See, like the person you're selling to, he also knows that you will not be able to deliver 100%. No particular product, no particular organization delivers 100%. But the way you handle those escalations, the way you handle those queries, the way you handle those particular anger management sometimes your clients might bash your entire team of, this is not happening. I paid this much money for that. This is not happening. If you just, like block those guys, if you don't respond to their calls or anything like that, this is going to, like first of all, close that door, and it is going to close 10 more doors for you. If you are doing it correctly, like you were very empathetic after the call, after the sales process is ended, and that particular guy has come back to the salesperson and he's saying that your CS team is doing nothing. As a sales rep, can you get this done for me? It is your job. It is your birthright, I would say, to fight with your management. Go and fight with your management or your boss. If you're the boss, do whatever it takes to get that shit done. If you do that, you are building a relationship that is going to stay for the next 10 years, minimum 5 years. And 10 or 5 years is maximum to give your brand a much better visibility, because you don't want a very bad churn out rate, right? Customer churn out rate is very like this is higher in a lot of B2C brands as well as a lot of SaaS startups also. You might see that the sales rep is, like onboarding a client, right? They're very interested in the first 3 4 months, but in the fifth or sixth month they are not finding interest, and gradually they go to another competitor. Why this happens? Because the customer success team takes that job as a customer support team. You are not a customer support team. If you are handling customer success, or if you are the founder who is also taking care of customer success, you have to consider the fact that when you are going on the part of customer success, you're still a sales rep. You're still doing sales. The service you are giving back, it's still a part of sales. That's a part and parcel
Right.
of sales. So that is very important as a founder or a new gen startup or any sales rep or whoever is doing sales. You always, keep your relationship going. You don't vanish in the thin air. That's the only way of doing things or getting things done. That I would say.
Right. So now coming to some dark side of sales, let's say,
Yeah,
uh, so recently, not recently, maybe 2 years back, one news was there during COVID, right? There was a particular medicine called Dolo 650, and which
correct.
which gained too much prominence, and now it's a household name. But in order for doctors to prescribe that medicine, there were 100 crores investment, I'll say, which went under the table. And
Mhm.
many allegations and also happened. I created a video also about it based on the newspaper articles and all. So now coming to that point, how much background work actually really goes on? Not saying that you really do. I'm just saying in general, how much work that
Mhm.
goes into getting a client and other activities. Is that true, or there is no truth? Meaning some additional benefits that a salesperson has to provide to the client in order to get the deal, because many prospects will be lined up. And if you provide
Mhm.
some additional benefit to the client, and there is a high chance that the deal may
Okay.
come up in terms of
Okay.
anything.
Okay.
I'm
So
just not naming anything.
yeah, I understand. I understand. I really get what I really got what you're saying right now. See, people who do that, they don't last long in the industry. To be very honest, if you do things like that, you will end up you'll be addicted to doing things like that. If you
Uh,
go under the table and if you like for consider you are bribing a person to like signing up your tool or your product. See, this is going to blow up later on, right? Because see, we are all career salesperson, or if you're a founder also, if your team is doing something like consider you only said that you made a video out of it, right?
hmm,
There might be 10 more other YouTubers who are making videos out of Dolo 66, and the reputation of that brand is gone. Khatam. That is Khatam Tata goodbye. They are basically the Rahul Gandhi of pharmaceutical at this point of time, right? No credibility, nothing. So, so it is very important you don't do these things. See, like it is very easy to like fall into those traps. I personally don't do all these things, and I don't even subscribe or refer my peers or anyone in the podcast to do anything like that. Yeah, of course, things will be tough. There will be months where you'll be having zero business, zero pipeline, you'll be having nothing. But even if you are on the verge of losing your job, don't do this, because you never know. The client you're selling, he might be your employer later on.
correct.
right? The world is very small, right? Don't want to burn bridges that way. So I do understand that, of course, like there is a thing called corporate gifting. You can ask your clients for a coffee table meetup, or you can visit a bar with them, have a drink with them, but we end this there only. That's the only like preview purse that you give to your client.
Mm,
See, at the end of the day, if you're just bribing or like doing things under the table, that is going to, first of all, as I said before, burn your bridges. Secondly, it is going to destroy your company's or your brand's reputation. Thirdly, you'll be unemployed for a long time. So
mm,
medical representatives who are doing that, see, they are going to they are able to get away because I would say that the example you gave here, the MRs who are doing this, they are not having a very like hi-fi career in sales. They are what they're doing. They're going to some particular like chamber. They are telling some guy, yeah, please sell this medicine. You'll be getting comms. Do you think you'll be finding them in a company like Salesforce?
no.
Can they even go to a company like Salesforce? They'll be fired on the very first day, man. Like this is not going to happen. So it's not that you just go to like that's the same thing which has happened in EdTech. Like I have worked in EdTech before. Like before I was doing tech
Mm,
sales, I remember that there are a lot of my colleagues who were like saying that like Shah Rukh Khan will be coming to your house to teach your kid this problem in maths. This kind of that's the reason Byju's is down. Khatam. They're gone. No one cares about Byju's. Right now, Byju Ravindran is coming to, like I think there's a podcast with Smita Prakash where he's saying a lot of shit, but he's getting nothing. If you see the comment
right,
section, there also people are calling him a fraud, right? So
right.
if you do all this kind of forgery, like it is coming, it is going to come back to you like and bite you very badly. You can take Byju's as the prime example here. That's
Mm.
that's my only take on that.
So now, not only in tech sales, right? So in various industries, right? There are
Mhm.
sales in banking also. Many banks will call you for credit cards, and maybe sometimes they're sending a solution also. Small startups, they are selling their solution to small grocery shops and other. So what one
Correct.
guideline that will tell any framework that they should follow in order to buid a trust and gain some client? Some suggestion that will give to anyone who is willing to enter into the world of sales, maybe from a business background or maybe from a tech background, anything in common.
Sure, sure, sure. See, so be it B2C or B2B, first of all, it's important to be truthful. If you are honest in the way you speak, the way you propose things, and the way you build your business proposition, people are going to remember you. See, you might not get the deal that day when you pitched, or you like considering B2C, the thing is that you have to close the product, like the timeline is very less. You have to do it in a month or a week or maybe 3 or 4 days. That's the entire timeline you have to do from cold calling to like selling the product. If but for B2B is different because there are many stakeholders, many decision makers, and a very big deal which is going to happen. So it takes years or sometimes months also. So for people who are doing insurance sales, my only suggestion to them is that don't call people like that. Please don't call someone and say that I am calling from XYZ bank. Would you like to have a credit card? That way you'll not be able to sell a credit card. Of course, if you're dialing 200 numbers, you'll be finding one guy who might be saying yes to you. But that's not a robust pipeline, first of all. Second, if you are able to get a connect, don't lie. If you lie about the product or the service, and if you don't say things, like it happens a lot in the fintech or in the BFSI industry. You might have seen that some guy might have some friend of yours or some acquaintance of mine also. I've seen a lot of people doing that, the like who are in the sales or who are the customers also. They get a particular insurance plan, and later on when they sign up for the plan, they see that there are hidden costs which are coming up, or there is some particular thing that was not told to them. Like for example, if you're taking a home loan, some people don't tell you that like you have to show this kind of documents also. Once you go for the registration, they will ask you where is that doc from the bank, right?
Mm,
Because they were in a hurry to sell the product, whatever. So that way, what happens? You are building mistrust, and the entire process gets hurt. So at this point, for the BFSI or the B2C industry, I can say that uh, the work culture is also important for this malpractices. Because in India, we are still living in that 1900s. Basically, we are still staying in British India when it comes to sales, because there is a mindset that if you don't perform, you'll be out of the business. But it's not the
Mm.
case in other countries. I've seen a lot of people who are working in the UK, US. Of course, they also get fired if they are not hitting targets. But the management is empathetic. In India, it's like the management doesn't give a big beep about what we're doing. You have to
Understood.
do the target.
Understood.
Yeah, right. You might have seen that there was a video 1 or 2 years back about a bank in Kolkata where the
Correct.
VP of sales or someone who is abusing on the floor, and it got recorded, and that guy also got fired, right? But you can
Yeah.
imagine the kind of toxicity which is there in the like a BFSI or the tech industry or B2C industry. If I talk about B2B industry, I don't think it is toxic. Of course, there's a sales pressure, but I believe there should be a regulatory body when it comes to sales. I've seen that there is no labor union for sales reps anywhere. So we can have a labor union kind of thing. The government of India can also come into the picture, and they can also uh, build a particular framework where they are able to regulate, so that every other company who is selling insurance, tech, maybe it's medicines, maybe it's prop tech also. There are a lot of real estate companies as well who you might have seen that in Bangalore only, right? I have a lot of friends who are working in real estate. They tell me, like they encounter clients who don't even look into the property. They sign up, and later on, when they are handed over the property, they realize that they have made a mistake.
Wow.
Because they saw the entire property from outside. They did not even venture inside. And the sales rep have, told them hundreds Ramayana, Mahabharat, like, "Hey, yeah, this will have a swimming pool." Once they enter the property, there's no swimming pool, no amenities, nothing, right? So there should be a regulatory body. It's not the job of the sales rep; it's also the job of the management, the companies around. And if you ask me for the sales rep, what is my only suggestion? It's be truthful, and you work hard and you work smart. That's the entire way of doing things, or getting things done.
Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you have liked this episode, if you have gained some knowledge from this episode, don't forget to hit the like button. Share it with your friends, colleagues, or anyone who you feel is about to enter into the sales world. Share with them, and hit the subscribe button, because that will give us boost and courage and power to bring more and more guests in this episode, in this podcast. Thank you.